Dean is constantly just staring at Farm. Oh, hi. My name is Samantha. Samie, from the name of my channel. Most people call me that. Today am going to be talking about a BL series I recently watched. Until we meet again. I admit I'm a baby BL viewer, so I'm just only getting into it. But I had to talk about this with someone. Disclaimer: if you haven't finished it or haven't watched it yet, probably don't want to watch my video first. Okay, so what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to talk about the show while I draw and paint. One of the things that's very important to me is mental health awareness, and something that I learned personally recently is a great way to self-soothe is drawing or painting, just using any sort of medium to soothe yourself. This kind of works for me. I really like it. I can let out some emotions, and this show, let me just say, all sort of frustration. We're gonna get into it now. First of all, the first thing, if you haven't watched it, please stop, go watch it, come back. For those that have, maybe you've forgotten. I'm just going to remind you of the first scene. Yes, that. I know I'm a baby BL viewer, but my first thought was, what? What in the heck of the world? How are you starting a series with people making out? Is this like an American show? I restarted it. I paused, checked just to make sure I was on episode 1, because I'm like, oh, this does not make any sense. So what I'm actually drawing is, you'll know. I'm not gonna say anything. You'll know. So I was like, kissing in the first scene, and it gets worse. They commit suicide and die. And I'm like, what in the... But okay, got over that, moved on, and then you get to know the characters, because you read the name until we meet again, right? But it doesn't really click until you get into the episodes that this is a story about reincarnation, and then you meet Farm, and Farm is the most adorable character. Very fucking annoying, because let's just talk about all the kissing scenes with Farm and Dean and compare them to the kissing scenes between In and Con. In is the super confident, I'm going to jump right in there and make you fall in love with me. And he's reincarnated into Farm, who kisses like this. Every single time. I mean, even like when after they've been together for a while with Dean, he always kisses Dean like Dean is trying to molest him. Like I understand. So like from my personal understanding, or what I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, is what I thought was Farm, because Farm only realizes what's going on like later in the series. So I think he is still traumatized by the fact that Khan went and killed himself. And unlike Dean, who doesn't have any memories of that pain, Farm does, because Farm technically, as in, had to watch the love of his life die. And so, when they go to what are those people called? The ones with the monks, yes. And he's like, you need to like forgive. That's kind of what they're talking about. He needs to forgive. And I think technically that's how come it was so hard for Farm to open up in the relationship. Unlike for Dean, who comes back with In's personality and he's like super forward. But personally, I loved that. I loved that you can see attributes of In Dean's personality, knowing that In is his great uncle, and like that's like his family trait. It takes after In, but he still has some characteristics of his previous self, Khan. The silence and all of that stuff. And then Farm is the more reserved characteristics that he gets from his great uncle Khan, yeah. So he's a little bit more reserved, unlike In, who was his previous self. So I kind of like that because the genetics comes out. Obviously, we only find this later, and you're like, what the hell? How did In turn into a pussy? Sorry, but that's why. That's what I think. My opinion. But yeah, I just needed to talk about that. And then you see that now in the kisses. Every single time, because In busy all the time just stealing kisses from Khan, whereas Farm is like, ooh, can I really do this? Should I really be doing this? Type of thing. Yeah. So that's the first thing that, stood out to me. But I mean, like, all in all, very frustratingly annoying with by the time you get to the end, you're like, I'm just done with In and Khan. I just want Farm and Dean to have their own lives. Oh my goodness. I will talk about the second from last episode a bit later. But yeah, that's one of the biggest issues for me. Like, why? Why are you doing that? Okay. Done with the frustrating talk. Okay, so we're gonna go now to the steering. Because first it was like when you start out and you are within, and then you watch Khan just staring at In all the time. It's really crazy, right? And then Khan dies, and then Dean takes over, and then there's the staring where Dean is constantly just staring at Farm. I don't know if you guys have ever had a crush on someone, but I don't think I would be any type of comfortable with a person I'm having a crush on staring at me as much as Dean stares at Farm. Like, seriously, he was like whooped from the get-go. Super, super whooped. Like, we didn't expect anything else from him. He was just that whooped. And then you go ahead and you're watching him just stare at Farm. I mean, what else could he do? He asks Farm a question, and then Farm is like, the whole time. And then Dean has to wait like 10 minutes for Farm to eventually answer the question after blushing all on his own. I mean, so I get that. Like, it makes sense. Yeah, this is the reason why we are busy just having to watch them do that. I think if I was Dean, I would have been a lot more frustrated by it happening all the fucking time. But anyway, he was whooped, as I mentioned. So yeah, that's another thing that got me about the series. All of the staring. So sometimes I can't really talk and focus on what I'm drawing. So see, what I don't like is that the white isn't coming out. Let's let it dry for a bit. Okay. So yeah. Then, like, I know we are watching the series for the two main couples. Everyone knows this. We are watching the series for the two main couples. But is there anyone that watched Until We Meet Again that didn't fall in love with Tim and Win? Because first of all, they were very, very, very sponsored by Lay's. Their story was so sponsored by Lay's. Every single time they come on, it's Lay's. But aren't they like the absolute cutest? So it starts, when Tim is in the dressing room and Win comes in and takes his towel, and then you're like, maybe what's gonna happen here? And then they meet in the, what do you call it, the 7-Eleven or whatever, when Tim is buying Lay's, and Win offers to tutor him, and kisses him on the forehead. I'm like, okay, what's going to happen next? But then we only get like small snippets, and then next thing you know, Tim is at Win's door and he's like, I'm sleeping here tonight. And you're like, what the? Okay, but you guys are super cute and I support this, right? Totally support that. And then it goes on, and then Tim has a mosquito bite when they go away to the canoeing place from Win, and we're just like, okay, what's going on? Like, we're confused, but we'll go with it anyway. And then what else? Close to the end is that where they kiss under the mistletoe. Like, it doesn't, like, I don't think it can get old. Like, we are all for them, and I am so, so, so excited that they're getting their own series, because they outshadowed the main couples by far as the cutest thing I've ever seen. I mean, if you disagree, you're welcome to disagree. But, I mean, have you seen one? Win is so, 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 so cute. And, okay, while we're on that, when they're in the bus, and then Win arrives and he's all nice and blonde, they're sitting in the bus, it's a bit ashy, they come out of the bus and there's regrowth, and you're like, okay. I have to say, like, what I loved most about Until We Meet Again is how they kept everything in the timelines so well. Like, I appreciated that about the directing, the editing, and the writing. So, like, there wasn't any, like, big mistakes with that, having you two timelines playing at the same time. But I did not appreciate how they messed up Win's hair. But it was only kind of ish mistake that I saw that I kind of had a problem with. So, I mean, it wasn't that big a deal. And also, we don't care because we liked Win and Tim together way too much, and getting to see them walking around, sitting together, taking pictures, all couple-like. Yeah, we can forgive them for that. Okay. I'm using oil pastels as well as water paint and acrylic. Okay, if you haven't already figured it out, I am drawing some Thai desserts that we saw in the show. Okay, I like to cook. I love cooking. So I loved that about the show. The whole he made desserts. So loved Thai food but couldn't cook. And he came back as Farm and being a cooking master. I mean, the way to anyone's heart is food, let's not lie. So it made sense that everyone was totally in love with Farm because he could cook. While we are on the subject of everyone falling in love with Farm, let's talk about Alex and how super annoying his character was. Like douchebag annoying. But I mean, he played it well. He really did. That was cool, not cool, and very annoying. And like, if it was in, I feel like Ian would have rubbed a new one into Alex. The thing that I didn't get, like, Farm could be so straightforward with Alex and be like, I'm not interested in you and stuff like that. But Dean comes along and is all like, baffles me to this day. But again, as I said, I think it's more about all of the stuff inexperienced, like the pain of watching the person they loved, dying in front of them and leaving them. And then, oh my gosh, I was so pissed at Farm when okay, first of all, let's talk about this episode, the second from last episode. Yeah, first of all, you bring Farm into the house. He finds the shit. Dean calls you, people call you, tell you that. And who keeps the gun? Who the hell keeps the fucking gun? This gun has done so much damage to you and your family, and you keep it in a box where anyone of your children or grandchildren can find it? Like, who the hell does it? The grandfather asking for trouble. Okay? Then you come and you find out that he's taken the gun. And the same way in the first scene, the fathers are completely useless and wait for the kids to kill themselves before they think, oh, let me react and try to get this gun away. Then he just sits in and he's like, I know where he's going. How is that helping? Can you go where he's going or something? Right? Like, don't just, I know where you're going and not react fast enough. And then, even knowing that he has the gun with him, because what if you get there too late? And then I'm like, the writers can't do this. If they die again, I'm like, what the hell? And then you get, and oh my gosh, the previews of the next episodes, they fuck you up because of the fact that there's no subtitles. So, like where it shows the preview of Dean talking to his siblings, and then it's after Dean had asked Farm to move in with him, and then you think he's telling his siblings that he's moving out, when no, he's talking about the grandmother. And then they do the preview and they show Dean with the grandmother, and you think that he's telling the grandmother that whatever you think he's telling him, and meanwhile he's just like with the grandmother and stuff. Like the previews, and then the preview comes and you think, oh my gosh, Farm is gonna kill himself. So yeah. And then Farm gets hold of this gun, right? We all know, I mean, he gets a hold of the gun, and these people are so delayed in reacting. And he's like, I'm going to be the one to go first. And you're like, okay, justified, but this is not porn. Like, it's so sad. And then Farm goes on this pilgrimage for 3 months, trying to figure out if his love is real love, and you're like, oh, this is so flippin' annoying. And then the beginning of the episode is so useless, because you're like, okay, what was the use of the 10 minutes we watching them eat in a restaurant? Then they go to the swimming pool, nothing really happens. Then there's a scene where the other cooking guy is asking Farm if they're together, and he's like, they didn't break up. And like, all of those episodes were completely useless. We didn't gain anything from them. And then he has the dream of them being happy. He wakes up and Dean is there. So you're like, why didn't you cut it? Like, at least show something that's been happening in the last 3 months. Has Dean been sad? Have they been crying? No, showing Farm happy as shit. And okay. Also, the cousin is hilarious. Like, I don't know why he kept the fact that they were related a secret. But yeah, and then imagine finding out your cousin lives next door and he's been listening to you fuck your boyfriend. I mean, like, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'm just saying. But I mean, also Farm is also super shy, so there's that. But yeah, okay. So, oh, I can't actually talk about the series and not talk about the fact that one of the actors in the series' real name is actually Samantha. I never figured out how to pronounce her name. Wanao. She is, okay, I won't lie, that everything about her screams as Samantha. I am exactly like that in real life. I am super fucking dramatic. I don't wear makeup though, but to be fair, they were sponsored by a makeup company, and it really was like she wasn't actually doing anything to her face every single time she wore makeup. So I guess we can forgive her for that, but she did say in real life she doesn't really wear makeup. So as Samantha, she doesn't. But that was kind of fun to find out, because the whole time I actually watched the series with my best friend. And the whole time we were watching it, she was like, she's just like you. She's just like you. And then we find out that the name is Samantha. That was kind of cool. So, yeah. See, I'm trying to get the white to show up, but it's kind of useless. But anyway, you know what I'm making. The little desserts from the show. I love how much color the desserts had. They were so bright and colorful and beautiful. If I could draw better, what I would have wanted to draw was the scene with the picture that Dean posts and he's like, never forget, with the dessert. That would have been the one that I would have wanted to draw. See, all of the ones with white are so hard to do. Let me just try to get that. Hopefully I can paint over the oil pastels. I don't know if I can make these little petals. Let's see, we'll try. You get the picture. So with self-care, it doesn't really need to be something that you're good at. I can't draw for shit, but it just, it's something that can relax your brain and your mind and like take you away from all the painful thoughts or scary things that your brain doesn't want to focus on, and maybe soothe yourself for a bit. So this is what works for me. So I have a paper full of Thai desserts. Let's do one more of these stars. I need to get them a little bit more. What did you like about Until We Meet Again? Which episodes upset you the most and were most frustrating? What excited you the most? For example, frustration. Farm is annoying tendencies of running away from Dean. Also him thinking that their love wasn't real, or just because they were reincarnated. Or excited you, like Tim and Min's relationship. But what about the series did you like? Like, did you want to tell someone about, talk to someone, I need to talk to someone about this? What in the series did you like the most? What would you have changed? Yes, the series frustrated me a lot. There were a lot of the scenes that I was like, why and stuff, but I wouldn't change anything about it. Except the last episode, I'll take away the whole first few minutes where we see nothing, and then just start from the dream, and then go from there, because it didn't feel like any of that was worthwhile for the storyline. So that's the only thing I'll cut out. However, everything else and the way the series was made, I thought it was done very well. I personally loved it. I would definitely recommend it. I would give it a 9 out of 10. Recommendation wise, I would likely to recommend it 8 out of 10, because if you're triggered by mental health issues or suicide in particular, I would not advise you to watch it, because that scene plays over a lot. So that's the only biggest reason I wouldn't recommend it to someone. Otherwise, as someone that writes and loves editing and production of series, I definitely recommend it. All the frustration, the anger, the happiness, the turmoil that we feel throughout the series, I personally thought it was intentional and done perfectly. Alright, they invoked the right type of emotions throughout the series, which is one of the reasons that I loved it. Would I watch it again? This is a hard thing for me because I'm not good at watching things again. So I'm going to be honest and say I probably won't watch it again. I loved it, and I would likely to recommend it. I just might not watch it again. Definitely not by myself, but maybe with someone else that hasn't watched it, I'll definitely watch it again with that. But for myself, just by myself rewatching it, no, I probably won't do that. You'll see when I watch something really good and I'm going to watch it again. There'll be a good reason. So that's my feelings on the show. How do you feel about it? How did you feel when you are watching it? Did you enjoy it? Would you recommend it? What would you give it out of 10? So tell me that in the comments. While you're there, maybe just like the video if you enjoyed it. And if you really enjoyed it, share it and definitely subscribe. Again, my name is Samantha and this is Samie's Voice, where I talk about a lot of weird things in this particular segment, which I'm going to be calling, it's supposed to be coloring and commentary, but I guess you can call it coloring. So I'll call it colors and commentary. What you guys think? Should we go with that? I'm definitely going to do it again because I'm really getting into BLs. So if there's a BL you'd like to recommend to me, please recommend it in the comments. I'll definitely watch it and then we'll talk about it and see how you guys felt, how I felt about it. Okay, love you loads and take care of your mental health. Self-soothe as much as you want, and if you want to cry, watch some series.